action games don't ask for attention, they demand it, you know? 1 minute you're booming, the next minute you're gooning, wondering where the last 2 hours went, you know? Hello friends, this is Mobo, and today we're checking out 15 best action games you probably need to play on Android and iOS if you've got the time. Yeah, so first of all, I'm sort of a little upset to even go there, but if you're an Apple user and you're looking for something that immediately grabs that attention by the sack, Glory Age's Vikings is a seriously strong way to kick things off. It ain't one of those games where you spam attacks and just hope for the best. Fights, every fight needs some clean sword combat, and you gotta time, parry, dodging, the slashing, and smart positioning all the way. And the Viking atmosphere actually is great. You know, battles go insane because of that from start to finish. The latest update, in fact, which came out a week ago, makes it look and play even better now. The game is completely offline, making it one of those raid mobile games that's pretty easy to pick up and genuinely satisfying to master at the same time. Hopefully, it'll be making its way to Android someday. Yes! So coming up behind that, you might actually hate me for this as well. Grand Outlaws is, I would think it's probably one of the closest games we've had to a proper Grand Theft Auto this month that's actually built for mobile. You know, you get a huge open world online, you can drive, do pretty much anything you could do in a Grand Theft Auto game. In fact, Grand Outlaws no longer is in soft launch. Besides, developers took the extra time to pack in more locations, a better performance, and load up on content as well. Think of it as sort of a PUBG meets Mad Max and set in a Grand Theft Auto world. Anyway, the full Android and PC launch just hit. Console ports are coming out later. Crossplay is also in the works, and future modes like heists and campaigns are being developed as well. Pretty good game, actually. If you're into medieval games, or rather medieval action games, Legend of Ertugrul is one of those easy picks in case you actually missed it earlier. I've tried it for a few days, and I gotta say, it sort of ended up being one of the neat slashes we've seen lately, you know, as a free game. It's a 2.5 dimensional hack and slash adventure inspired by Turkish history, you know, kind of like the Prince of Persia, which is inspired by the Persian history, you know, although it's less of a platformer and more of some sort of a story-based action game. You know, it doesn't try to be an RPG, it focuses on some straightforward action, a good combat, and some story that keeps things, you know, interesting. The visuals are surprisingly polished, and even, say, if you know nothing about Turkish history, which obviously a lot of people don't, there is still a fun action game to be had. There's one problem, this game is only playable online. If you're a fan of those sort of creepy psychological horror games where you constantly question whether you're losing your mind or not, well, Redwood Falls 1984 got your name written all over it. It's a pretty simple setup. Your car breaks down in this rural Oregon during 1984, where you stumble into a quiet town called Redwood Falls, looking for help, and almost immediately realize something is not right. Pretty creepy, it is a little mysterious. Most of the horror actually comes from the atmosphere, so if weird psychological horror games is your thing, this definitely worth checking out.
This has been coming and going out of the gaming scene for like the past 10 months. That's correct. The big old AAA Control is now on iOS at a affordable price. Yeah, well, this one feels kind of unreal right now. We're talking full Ultimate Edition, not a spin-off, not a cloud version, the actual game rebuilt for mobile. That's a massive deal, besides the fact that this is one of the most visually insane action games ever made. Now it's just ready to sit in your pocket, and depending on your OS, it can take up to 45 gigabytes of storage. It's an offline game and also works with a controller.
This has been nearly 5 years of wait and over 50 millions of downloads to this very day, but thankfully, Ninja's Creed got a sequel, and this is just one of those moments that a game really wants you to think it's cooler than it actually is, and sometimes it almost gets there. Look, the pitch is Ninja Sniper first-person shooter like before. Missions are structured, you know, bite-sized and pretty safe. The stealth is more implied than demanded in the game. You get great weapons and bows, upgrades to do the usual mobile mobile grind dance, and it's actually got a story, it's pretty good. Ninja's Creed 2 is playable offline, which honestly helps its case a lot, but don't expect Hitman or Deus Ex or something stupid, because this is closer to a polished sort of time killer, but a pretty damn good game. Mega Pain is straight up a big love letter to when first-person shooter games didn't care about looking pretty. They just wanted to hit hard and hit fast. This thing feels like someone took Doom, ran it through a modern mobile engine and said, keep it exactly how they used to make them. Like, you're constantly moving, no hand-holding, no filler, it's just raw arena combat, and on top of that, the PS6 visuals really work. It adds to that old school energy with that classic clear the room or die triangle loop, and the fact that it works offline with optional multiplayer in the works is just like the cherry on top. In fact, if you grew up on old shooting games, this one doesn't just copy the vibe, it really understands it. Now, at number 8, I don't know what you're gonna think of this. I'm including War Tortoise at number 8 because it's just one of those mobile games you have to play. If you're aiming good action games and the idea doesn't sound right on paper until you actually play it, you gotta play the game. Here you're riding this big war tortoise, across a big battlefield while shredding your enemies into pieces and upgrading your weapons to some insane level along the way. Then eventually you get to unlock more vehicles that are more powerful as well. It sort of blends idle progression with some shooter gameplay, so you're always making progress even during shorter sessions. Add in boss fights, endless upgrades, and a pretty unique concept that works, well, you've suddenly got one of the most original shooters you can play for free on Android. It also has controller support, come on. Have you ever wondered what it's like to survive the apocalypse on a tightrope? Right here is probably your chance. See, Apocalypse Survival New Order here hands you a random character, and if you die, tough luck. No retries, no respawn, just a spot on leaderboard with the rest of the world's survivors. So think of this game as tactical combat against zombies, factions, and endless waves of bad luck. You got a training mode, which is your safe place to practice, but when the real run starts, it's just a bunch of pressure and it goes on forever. I don't know, I guess if you want to be the end of the world's apocalyptic legend, prove it, maybe this is your chance. Number 10, we've got this thing called Driftfall. I've actually played the game very briefly, although I should play it more. It sort of keeps old school vibes with these chunky pixel art visuals and some classic action RPG gameplay. You've got dungeons, bosses, and just more dungeons. Hit after hit until you turn your fortress into your home base with better gear, upgrades, etc. The game just finally left soft launch, looking like one of the more promising pixel ARPGs on mobile right now. Overall, if retro action RPGs are your thing, Driftfall deserves a spot on your library. It mixes classic pixel art combat with dungeon crawling and a surprisingly cool base building system. On top, you can actually switch between different heroes mid-flight. It's only on Android right now, hopefully coming to iOS as well. So if you've actually been around here for the past 6 months per se, you know pretty well we've included Last Hunted K in at least 3 or 4 videos, even more. Nonetheless though, whether if you are new to it or not, the fine developers behind this hidden gem just announced a huge update, and this new season in fact expands the live service with more bosses, more co-op content, gear, skins, events, yet the main appeal is still the great combat itself. It's got that same one mistake you're folded instantly energy and that legit Souls-like combat with a nice little science fiction sort of cyberpunk twist. Check it out in case you missed it. This game is free and it's about 2 GB in total. Down to number 12, despite the, sort of a weird name, 144 or 144 record over here is kind of trying to be a very serious, proper tactical shooting game. It's a online first-person shooter, of course, that focuses on some realistic gunplay with a nice, solid pack of just weapons and the sounds, as sort of a slower, more strategic firefights as well, instead of just non-stop shooting. The graphics are surprisingly good for such a small project, although it's a bit rough around the edge since it's coming from an indie developer and it just came out. There's some real potential is what I'm trying to say. Suffice it to say, if you've been looking for a fresh tactical first-person shooter beyond the usual big names, this is just one of those hidden gems that's genuinely worth giving a shot. Demon Hunter, however, feels like old school Doom got trapped inside a mobile grinder and designed to hit a sweet nostalgia spot. Like, you're shooting demons through castles and caves while stacking upgrades until your character turns into an unstoppable nightmare. In fact, the retro 2.5 dimension look gives it that crunchy boomer shooter vibe, but the loot and build system keeps things surprisingly addictive as well. Like, one run you're just this speedy glass cannon, next run you're basically an armored fridge. And for like 150 megabytes, this thing packs way more action than it expected to. Number 14, we've got Gungrave Gore. It is finally on mobile. If you missed the old days when action games were just about styles and nothing more, this is one of those games. It delivers in that way, and only that way, by the way. See, it's a third-person action slashing game that sort of feels like it was teleported straight out of a PlayStation 2 game, and not the good kind either, the kind that gets repetitive pretty fast. So what you're gonna do is just basically finish the game as fast as you can before it gets boring. It's a pretty loud game, definitely over the top. It's the old school stuff. Better yet, however, this is not a legitimately watered down version, it's the apparently enhanced version that's rebuilt for mobile with optimized controls as well. Check it out, it does support controllers, is playable offline, and you're gonna be needing a Crunchyroll membership for this.
Now guys, Speed Cycling at number 9 is bike racing premium and ton of sweaty PvP just done right. Then also turned up to full sin. This game is all about control, learning, braking, drifting, hitting jumps, and not choking when someone overtakes you at the last second. Pretty fast game, aggressive, punishes mistakes instantly, but the progression's pretty straightforward, where you race, grind XP, unlock new talents, get stronger, repeat. Nothing overcomplicated, it's just that classic play better, climb ranks, and if you like tight racing with bikes where skill actually matters, this one's pretty much got that clean, no BS energy.
This actually took a good 5 years to finally land on mobile, but it's finally here, and if you missed it, Blue Fire is an adventure that sort of feels like someone tried to make old school Zelda dungeon crawling with some precise, almost Void Runner type of platforming. Although Blue Fire did actually come out to Android about a year ago, it was taken down for whatever reason. It's now back, and there's a free demo for you to play as well. I think the game is at its best technically when you're going through these parkour areas, and less in the actual fighting. So if you like Zelda style exploration but also like enjoy skill based platforming challenges in between, this is basically that blend. Super cute, pretty fun game, plays with an Xbox controller as well, simple enough to dive in at any time, yet engaging enough to keep playing for a long time. Highly recommend it. Thanks for watching, I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again tomorrow.